I'm Kyle Nelson, and I'm a master's student in the School of Environmental Studies at the University of Victoria, and I study bats. I'm really interested in the movement of bats in Western North America, specifically because white nose syndrome has been found in Washington State, and I want to see how that disease might potentially move to other places, especially in British Columbia. The biggest threat to bats in North America is white nose syndrome. It's this fungal pathogen that's been spreading across the continent since it was first observed in North America in 2006 in New York State. Since then, it's gradually been spreading across the continent, and it was observed in Washington State. This got me thinking about how white nose syndrome might further spread from Washington State and how it might reach British Columbia, and what kind of role migratory bats might play in that. There's some new tools that we can use to try and figure that out. One of them is acoustic monitoring, so setting up these automated recording units that record bats over long periods of time and looking for changes and fluctuations in their activity that could indicate that a surge of bats is coming through. To answer spatial questions about where the bats are coming from and where they're going, I'm using stable isotopes. Stable isotopes kind of act as like a chemical imprint in the bat's hair, and this hair takes up the chemical fingerprint of that particular area where they're consuming resources, where they're drinking water, and where they're eating food. One of the challenges with doing isotope work in Western North America is that there's so much geographic variability. And so if I can combine multiple isotope types, for example, carbon, hydrogen, and sulfur, then I can develop a more fine-scale determination of where a bat might be coming from. Additionally, it's just refining these techniques for using stable isotopes and for using acoustics to try and understand how bats are moving. By knowing where the bats are going, we have an idea of where the white nose syndrome might be going, and we can direct our monitoring for that accordingly. Well, I think, bats have kind of got this bad reputation over the years as being these like scary creatures of the night. And I think a lot of that is rooted in our poor understanding of them. I don't think we necessarily have to be afraid of bats. They're these really amazing creatures. I think we should respect them like we should respect any animal and give them their space as we would give any animal their space. It's also important to know that these animals are under threat and they need our help.